Good evening. Tonight, Washington is paralyzed by a government shutdown. Once again, Congress has failed to pass funding bills, leaving federal agencies in the dark and hundreds of thousands of workers without pay. At the heart of this standoff, a deep ideological divide over government spending. The Republican-controlled House demands steep cuts, citing runaway debt, while the Democratic-led Senate and White House resist, warning of harm to vital programs. The deadline passed on September 30th, and now, in the third week of the shutdown, hope for a quick compromise has faded. This is not a new story. Shutdowns have become a recurring feature of our politics, with both parties blaming each other for the impasse. Republicans accuse Democrats of ignoring fiscal reality. Democrats say Republicans are pushing an extreme agenda. The rhetoric is fierce, and the consequences are growing, impacting not just federal workers, but the broader economy and everyday Americans. As the shutdown drags on, the central question remains: what will it take for leaders to break the deadlock and put the country first? Tonight, we'll examine the roots of this crisis, the political strategies at play, and the real-world fallout for Americans caught in the crossfire. Stay with us as we break down what's at stake and what might finally bring Washington back to work. The stakes couldn't be higher. Republicans argue this shutdown is the result of Democrats refusing to address what they see as a spending crisis. House leaders insist they want to reopen the government, but only with real commitments to cut federal expenditures. They've passed targeted bills to fund the military and veterans services, blaming Senate Democrats for blocking them. The GOP frames this as a stand for fiscal discipline, not political gamesmanship. With inflation and economic uncertainty, many Republicans say now is the time to correct past budget mistakes and reduce wasteful programs. For them, a temporary shutdown is worth it if it means long-term fiscal health. With midterms looming, Republicans feel pressure to deliver on promises of spending cuts and smaller government. They believe caving now would betray the voters who sent them to Washington for change. Democrats call this a manufactured crisis, blaming a hardline Republican faction for derailing last year's bipartisan budget deal. Their message: pass a clean funding bill, reopen the government, then negotiate. They warn that Republican cuts would devastate programs for children, families, and the environment. Democrats refuse piecemeal funding, arguing the government should be funded as a whole. They're betting public opinion will turn against the GOP as the shutdown's impact spreads. For Democrats, this is about defending investments in America's future and the fundamental role of government as a safety net. The fight is over more than numbers, it's about the country's direction. The Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, is the nerve center of the federal budget process. It prepares the president's budget and oversees how agencies spend money. During a shutdown, OMB decides which government functions continue and which stop, interpreting the law and issuing guidance to agencies. The OMB director faces intense political pressure, accused by both sides of using shutdown decisions for leverage. Every choice, like which parks close or which services stay open, is scrutinized. The shutdown highlights the complexity of government. It's not just flipping a switch. OMB must coordinate with hundreds of agencies, making shutdowns costly and chaotic. This bureaucratic challenge shows why shutdowns are such a dangerous negotiating tactic. The OMB is left managing the fallout, trying to minimize disruption in a polarized environment. The process is a stark reminder of how political gridlock creates real-world chaos. Our panel agrees. Both parties may have miscalculated. House Republicans underestimated Democratic resolve. Democrats risk looking inflexible by refusing to negotiate until the government reopens. The longer the shutdown lasts, the more public frustration grows, and the harder it is for either side to back down. Historically, the party seen as causing the shutdown pays the political price. Internal party divisions make compromise even harder. Republican leaders face pressure from hardliners, while Democrats are urged by progressives to hold firm. Neither side wants to be the first to blink, so the stalemate drags on. Some panelists believe only a major external event or a sharp shift in public opinion will break the deadlock. Without that, we could be facing a shutdown that stretches into the holiday season. The result: political paralysis, with the loudest voices on the fringes setting the agenda. Meanwhile, the country bears the cost. The shutdown's impact is immediate and painful for millions. 800,000 federal workers are furloughed or working without pay, straining families and eroding morale. Small businesses that rely on government contracts are left in limbo, facing layoffs or closure. Local economies around federal facilities suffer as workers stop spending. Rural America is hit hard. Farmers can't access USDA services and veterans face delays in benefits. Scientific research halts, food and drug inspections are delayed, and national parks close, hurting tourism. The longer the shutdown continues, the more these effects compound. The machinery of government, often invisible, is essential to daily life and the economy. This self-inflicted wound damages public trust and creates hardship for families and businesses. The cost isn't just economic, it's measured in stress, uncertainty, and lost opportunities. For many Americans, the shutdown is more than politics. It's a crisis at the kitchen table. The consequences grow with every passing day. Even as the shutdown dominates Washington, other events shape the national mood. A special election in Pennsylvania saw Democrats win narrowly, campaigning on protecting social programs and blaming Republicans for the shutdown. Democrats tout this as proof their message resonates. Republicans say it's just local politics. Meanwhile, the release of Jeffrey Epstein files has reignited questions about power and accountability, fueling public distrust. Amid the turmoil, the White House awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, offering a rare moment of unity and a reminder of shared values. These events show the world doesn't stop for political gridlock. America is grappling with division, scandal, and inspiration, all at once. The shutdown is just one part of a much larger national story. The shutdown's impact extends beyond our borders, undermining U.S. credibility on the world stage. Allies and adversaries see dysfunction, raising doubts about America's reliability. The war in Ukraine is a flashpoint. Funding for Kyiv is stalled, and some Republicans question continued support. Former President Trump's criticism of Ukraine aid has fueled uncertainty among allies. For Europe and the Indo-Pacific, the shutdown signals instability. For adversaries like China and Russia, it's an opportunity. Domestic turmoil weakens America's global leadership and emboldens rivals. The debate over Ukraine aid shows how internal politics have global consequences. The world's challenges don't pause for Washington's gridlock. A swift resolution is needed to restore services and reassure allies. The world is watching. America's leadership is on the line.